Hello, welcome to our garden. Well, there's been some good weather recently, hasn't there? And we've been able to spend some time outside, haven't we, Saren?
Yeah.
What all have we been doing in the garden?
I made a tent, we did some gardening, I did an obstacle course running around, jumping over the guinea pig cage.
Yes, so there's all sorts of things you can do in the garden. We made a great den, didn't we? Just using a few garden tools and an old tarpaulin. And you enjoyed that, didn't you, for a few days?
Yeah, I had lunch in it and my lunch was pancakes.
Ah, we had pancakes for lunch in the garden in a tent. How good is that?
With maple syrup.
With maple syrup, yeah. And one other thing that we did was we did some planting. We did some sowing seeds, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what were you sowing?
Carrots.
Yes.
Cornflowers.
Yes.
Beans.
Beans, yeah. Or peas, maybe?
Yeah, peas. And
we'll have a look at those in a minute. And do you know what? Even if you don't have a garden, you can get out and plant things because you can use all kinds of tubs and containers. And we'll show you that in just a moment or two. And maybe you think, well, I don't have any seeds. I don't have anything to grow in the garden. But you know what? In your kitchen, you probably have something that you can grow. Here's a few things I've got from our kitchen, Saren. What's this, first of all?
a potato.
A potato, yes. So this is a baby potato. You might have bigger potatoes in the cupboard as well. And we could plant this into the ground, maybe about that deep, something like that.
Yep.
And it will shoot. Will come out of it, and it will grow nicely, and it will produce lots of little potatoes below the ground as well. What's this?
It's the same with onions.
Well, this is a garlic, isn't it?
Yeah, garlic.
Do you like the smell of garlic? I don't really like the smell of garlic, but I like it in cooking.
It's maybe a bit too strong.
Yeah, it can be a bit strong. So we can plant those. This is not the time of year to plant garlic, but it's something in your kitchen you might have that you can put into the ground and grow maybe later on in the year. Now, what are these?
Tomatoes.
Do you like tomatoes, Saren?
Yeah.
And you like sweet ones, don't you? You like the ones we grow.
Yeah.
But these are the ones from the supermarket, and if you squeeze out the inside of a tomato, sometimes they explode, don't they, when you're eating them? And the seeds come out and they're gooey in the middle, and we can see those gooey seeds there, look at that. And actually, if you just wash those off, dry them out, then you could plant those up and they will turn into little tomato plants. Mm-hmm. Tomato plants need to be grown in the heat, so you need to maybe grow them in a greenhouse or against a very warm wall if you've got one.
Or maybe in your house.
You could start them off in the house, definitely. Yeah, you want to start them off at this time of year on a windowsill, somewhere warm to get them going, and then later in the year you can plant them out. Something else you might have in the house is bird feed, and often in bird feed you've got these seeds. What colour are they, Sarah?
Brown and white.
Brown and white? Or maybe...
They're sunflowers.
Yes, they are. They're sunflower seeds, and they're a black and white colour. They almost look like little badger heads, don't they, I think, sometimes? Yeah. And we can plant those, and those
That looks like a badger head, that one.
Yeah, those are great because they sprout really quickly and they turn into big, tall plants with a nice cheery flower. And I think we all need to be cheered up, don't we, when we go out in the garden? Yeah? And you know what? Even if you don't have a garden, you can plant many of these things in big containers. You can get an old sack and grow potatoes in an old sack, or maybe a big plastic bag if you've got one. You can grow tomatoes in pots, and you can certainly grow sunflowers in pots as well. And those pots don't have to be pots bought from a shop. You could use things from your recycling tubs and containers that you might have around the house. So let's pick one of those seeds up and have a closer look at it, Sarah, and you put it in the palm of your hand there. Okay, so the amazing thing about a seed is it's got everything inside it that it needs to turn into a little small plant.
All it needs is some soil, water and sun and air, and then it will...
That's right, it needs all of those things. It needs something to grow in, it needs some heat from the sun, as you say, and it needs some water to get it going. And you could plant these in, say, toilet roll tubes. We've got some here, haven't we?
Yep.
So we've been saving these up, and these can be turned very easily into little pots, can't they? So
like this. I put this in my hand.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we will fold down the bottom of these like this. Can you do that, Sarah? Fold it down, just the bottom bit. Like that. So that becomes our little pot. Good girl. Well done.
There you go.
So turn it upside down. You've got a pot there. So that's our little pot. So now you need something to put the seeds in, some compost, don't you, or soil. Now you might not be able to get to the shops and get compost at the moment
Yes.
because a lot of the garden centres are closed. Mummy and Daddy can't get to them. So if you don't have any in the house, you could look round for pots that maybe you grew things in last year or your mummy or daddy did, and that soil is absolutely fine for starting seeds off. Or if you really don't even have any of that, you could try just starting it off in some soil from the garden. It's worth a try. And we want to fill those all the way to the top, really.
Yeah.
Get some. Okay. Push it down, yeah. Okay, so Sarah, we've got our 2 pots. So now we need to make a little hole for the seeds. So your fingers are perfect size for this.
Yep.
Okay, that's perfect. Not too deep. Okay. And you pick a seed there then, go for it.
I got one.
You got one, okay.
Why can I not
And
plant
put it in
2?
there.
Can we plant 2 in case one of them doesn't grow?
Okay. And I'll put one in mine here. I'm just going to put one in because I think it's going to grow. Okay.
I'm putting 2 in case it doesn't.
And we just cover them up then with the compost.
I did it.
And then what else do we need to do?
You need to water them.
So we're just going to water those really well, make sure they stay watered, and then we're going to keep them somewhere warm. So you might keep them in the house, or if you have got a greenhouse, you can maybe put it into
Or you
that.
can make a mini greenhouse.
Exactly, Sarah, and you can make a mini greenhouse, and to do that you can maybe just use some cling film or a clear plastic bag, put it over the top, and that'll create a wee mini greenhouse, and they'll come up really quickly. And they do come up quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
Because we planted these last week, and look at them. So they grow really quickly in those little pots, and always important when you're planting seeds to put a label on if you can find one. And again, you don't have to have purpose-made labels like this. You could just make it by cutting up an old milk carton and writing on that as well. And what does that say on it, Sarah?
Sunflower.
Sunflower. That's going to remind us what's
Sunflower
growing
Helios.
in that pot. So we don't have labels, any more labels left, do we, Sarah?
No.
For our 2 new sunflower plants. So we are going to make them. And I've got this old milk container. And I'll just start it off for you. There you go. And do you think then you could cut out one?
Mhm.
So we want it to be long and narrow. That's good. Got my help to get around the corner. So what are we going to write on this, Sarah?
Sunflower.
Sunflower. There we go. And just try and put it down the side if you can, like that.
Like this.
Well, that's our sunflowers planted, and of course we could do lots of them, couldn't we? Make sure they're all labelled, and then, all important, water them. Make sure they stay nice and damp and somewhere warm until they germinate. And if you put them somewhere warm, they'll come up really quickly like that, and they're already that size after about a week, and after a month or 2, they'll be way up here, won't they? Oh yes, and there's lots and lots of seeds. Whenever the flower goes over later in the summer, they will make lots of those seeds.
From one tiny sunflower.
From one tiny sunflower, it'll make hundreds of more seeds, and you can plant those again. Now, I thought we might have a look at some of the peas that you planted 2 weeks ago. And these are what the peas looked like when you get them originally. What are they like, Sarah?
So they're hard, they're brown, and they're dry.
They are indeed. And if we pick one up, we can see it there. It looks like it has no life in it at all. It's almost just like a little stone, a little bit of gravel or something like that. But if we do exactly the same to that we did to the sunflower seeds a moment ago, it will sprout in just a couple of weeks' time, and we will have a little pea plant. So let's have a look at one that you planted a couple of weeks ago, and we can actually take it apart in this toilet roll tube and see all the different parts of the plant. Now, if we look at the top there, we can see, what is that coming up?
These are little pea sprouts.
That's
and
the sprout,
leaves.
exactly. That's the little shoot coming out of the top of the pea.
We have to plant 2, or in case one of them doesn't come up.
That's right, we planted 2 in this pot, and we can see both of them have come up. And let's open it up now, okay? And have a look inside.
Ooh, how do
So
we
we
get
wouldn't
another
normally do
toilet?
this with all of our seeds, but we thought it might be nice to show the other girls and boys what it looks like when it starts growing. So there's the pea, and if we bring it over here, then we can see, what's that, Sarah?
Pea,
Pea that you put in, and out of the bottom of it came the what?
the big long root.
The big long root, and it came all the way down to the bottom of our toilet roll tube. And now that it's formed this root, it's also sending up the shoot. And very soon, what's going to open from this shoot?
Pea and a stork.
Well, leaves are going to come out, aren't they? And then it's going to use the root to take moisture from the soil and some other good things that are in the soil, like what are called minerals. And it will mix those and it will take them up into the leaves, and the sunlight on the leaves will do something very special called photosynthesis. That's a big word, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that will make food for the plant, and it will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So we'll maybe try and plant those again and see if they grow. But I thought it was worth seeing how the shoot of a seed begins to come out and how the root develops as well.